Hello everyone, welcome back, and today we're going to be covering the Clockwork Tower for the 80% tutorial for the Bounding Soul route of Specter of Torment. So, no shopping after that venture into the second memory. We don't have enough money for it, we don't need it for this stage. In fact, we won't be needing to go out of our way for any money at all. I mentioned that before after the Iron Whale, but I just thought I'd remind everyone now. We'll be picking up one more darkness upgrade after this stage. It's only 4,000 gold. We get 3,000 from beating Tinker, and we already have 2,000. Provided that you haven't died a ton, like you would have to have died quite a lot and not gotten any of your money back. You really shouldn't have any problem. And if for some reason you really do want some extra money, there is a ton of it in this stage. You get a 500 checkpoint before the last auto-scroller, you have two 750 chests, you have the last 750 checkpoint as well, and that's really only if you're trying to like buy extra health. Like that's the only reason why I would see that you would want to get like some extra money. But if you're using Bounding Soul, you really shouldn't be holding on to that much extra health at this point. And the one from Plains, if you haven't bought it by now, is only 1,000 gold. So again, you could easily pick that up and continue without losing any money or really any time for buying it at Missy. Now, like I said, this stage is the longest stage. However, in all that time I've spent setting up what this stage is like and some of the things, I guess, for the run, we're already at the auto-scroller. So yeah, you know, this is it. Get comfy. Like, free swag time. Go for it. Speaking of free swag time, shoutouts again to Patois for for this. God, he was the one who found this. Everyone who's been seeing me do it on my stream, he found all of this, cause yeah, he's oh man. Anyway, as far as like safety goes in this stage, if you really want to, you can grab the checkpoint after the first auto-scroller. Before the first auto-scroller, you've already gotten past all the hard stuff. You really shouldn't need to pick up the checkpoint before the first auto-scroller. Please don't die in the auto-scroller. Now, right where you see me pausing to do my Judgment Rush, if you break open the wall right in front of Specter right there, that's where the 750 chest is, the first one that you can grab. The next notable bit of money is the 500 checkpoint at the Silver Duck Knight, and then the last one, the 750 chest, is right above the 750 checkpoint before Tinker. And there's really not going to be a whole lot to cover as I go back through the stage and cover, like, if I'm looking at some of the small, tiny, nitpicky changes, there's really not a lot to say, really. Like, the stage is basically identical. There's only so much that you can alter about the stage. But again, this tutorial is proving, it's trying to be a good example of all the things that you should know, you should be following. So even if some of the changes are minor, having them visible in this first playthrough lets you see what you need to be doing. Now, if for some reason you're swagging too hard and you almost fall to your death here, just so you know, you can Judgment Rush and target those missiles. Yo, look at me go. Just make sure that you have full mana before you go into the fight with Tinker. You really want to have full mana. Killing missiles does give you some mana back, and you do pick up some small darkness about partway through this. Now here's where the big focus of the video is going to be. It's the Tinker Knight fight with Bounding Soul. Compared to the original fight that was basically low percent with the occasional Judgment Rush, and I even screwed up here a little bit, you can see the Tinker is still completely melting. Obviously he does a ton of damage whenever you get hugged by the gear, but even so, like I already took damage like doing a boost partway through the stage, so he only hit me once. And again, this fight is like kind of magical how it even worked out. Patois came up with the base of the Bounding Soul fight, and I found a couple of tweaks here and there that get you some more optimal ricochets, and Tinker goes down. So one thing I am going to show for the entirety of the beginning is, again, the optimal darkness route, because everything matters here. You really can't afford to accidentally spend darkness doing anything else. In this room, you'll be doing a single Judgment Rush. You're going to land and kill this rat because you need the darkness that it gives you. Otherwise, you're going to have to find something else to kill later on to compensate for that. So if you happen to miss this rat, just keep in mind that you need to kill at least one other thing to get a small darkness pickup later. Now in this room, again, we have, it's a long room, so everything is loaded all at once here. You don't need to go back and kill this guy, just make sure that you get a nice grind going. You want to kind of be on the left. It gives me a little more time to adjust my timing for this jump. You really want to get as high up on this second pillar here as you can. so that you can climb over it quickly. Wait for this pillar to drop down. You really don't have to be rushing too much, because as long as you're on the right side of it, you get that wisdom to start chucking his gears. Kill the Chompy, get your small darkness pickup, and then you're going to dash attack this first gear here. And this is why you have plenty of leeway to not get crushed by that pillar as you sit on it to make the second one in front of you rise upwards. Just to continually be keeping track of all the darkness that we're spending, this should be another use of Judgment Rush right here. This will leave us at slightly over a full bar, and that's important because we're barely going to refill a darkness over the course of the next few rooms. Now, as far as this room goes, there's nothing new about it. However, I felt like I should go into more detail about how I get through this room, because I've seen people struggling or not making it up nearly as high at the end of this Crusher room. So here's a couple of my tips on how to optimize the movement through the room. Now, as you're moving through this section, you kind of have a little bit of a wait coming up. So what I like to do is I just delay a little bit before I start grinding here so that I don't bonk into the wall. And then you want to be as close to it as possible before you jump. Jumping will basically return you to full movement speed, because you're no longer fighting the conveyor belt, you're in the air. Now, if you successfully manage to narrowly avoid bonking into the wall, but you never once, stopped holding right, more or less, then when you get to this end section here, you should be able to make this full jump here. The pillar should only push you down briefly, and then 2 immediate jumps should get you basically to grab the ladder if you do it optimally. If you are much lower, you have to do a lot of walking on the walls to actually reach the ladder, then maybe practice this room a couple more times. Now, in this next room, we'll be using Judgment Rush one more time here, and you have to kill at least one of these dogs, preferably this one right here. It's very easy to do. If you do miss that dog for whatever reason, I would really recommend taking a couple moments. Just 3 cuts should kill a dog, and then you'll have the darkness that you need to be able to Judgment Rush in this room, which will save you quite a bit of time from having to jump up the barbershop poles and then slowly fall back down. Now, in this room, we're actually going to be taking a damage boost, and if you're really not comfortable with the amount of damage Tinker does, I don't blame you for not going for this. However, it's pretty easy to do. It does save a small chunk of time here. Just make sure that you kind of get a slightly late damage boost off of this gear to really save more time. That way, as you fall down onto the platform, you can start grinding immediately, rather than having to start up another jump before you grind again. Again, this is not entirely mandatory. It only saves a small amount of time rather than waiting on all the gears to drop back down. It can be tricky, but most importantly, Tinker just does so much damage that he can be a nightmare. Now, this is the room with the Zulag cog bounce, and it's actually not that difficult. It's more difficult to navigate through the room normally. So as I enter the room, when I get off the ladder, I don't actually hop off the ladder, I just continue to hold up left and walk off naturally. And it's important that you don't jump to do the dash attack off this lantern, or you may end up accidentally bonking off of the cog itself. Immediately after landing, you're going to do a short hop, wait just briefly before you do a dash attack, and you'll have to, again, practice the timing on this. If you go too early, then you'll end up not bonking into the cog at all. And too late, and you'll bonk into it, but you won't be able to clear the gap, so you'll end up falling back into the room anyway. Now, in this next room, we have our Silver Duck Knight friend. However, instead of walking up to him like we did before, Azulag found that you could actually start a grind and skate up to him pretty quickly. However, there is a small bit of trickiness to this, because the Silver Duck Knights are actually programmed not to be able to do their lunging attack for a full second after you've entered their aggro radius. So you'll skate up to him, turn around, wait briefly, and then jump. You have to wait for him to start his lunging attack before you jump. Otherwise, he's going to think that you're going to try and attack on him. He'll hold up his guard, and you won't be able to reach that yellow conveyor belt. So here's what baiting the Duck Knight looks like in real time. You're gonna jump, skate over, turn around, and then jump again. Much as I would like to show how to swag at an auto-scroller, I think y'all can figure that out on your own. So here he comes, it's your boy Tiny Man. Make sure at the start of this fight you have your Bounding Soul equipped, you're mashing jump, and you're looking for Specter's first jump into the air. This is crucial because you actually barely have enough time to get this opening done. Once you've noticed that Specter is airborne and he lands, then you're going to jump again, and this time you're going to jump a little bit higher up and launch 2 of your souls. Once you land from this jump, you want to land just in front of him so that you can do a slash. You're going to slash and immediately jump again, and this time you're going to try and lean in. You really want to be like almost dunking directly over his head. You want to follow these balls to move them forward, keep them as close to each other as possible. Land on the ground, cut him once, jump in the air, and you really need to be, again, like right over him, because once you do your dash attack, you're barely going to be able to use that dash attack recoil to bounce over him and then start attacking him from the other side without taking damage. Now, if you do take damage, that doesn't mean that you can't get this kill. It's just going to be a lot more difficult. Now, the nice thing about the way this setup of balls went is that if you manage to have recoiled them properly, then with a single soul toss and another attack, you'll actually be able to get him underneath the 4 full hearts range, where he'll be doing another rear back. So you'll basically skip him going up against the wall at all. Again, the soul placement is like really nitpicky, so whether or not you'll get this result kind of varies. Really practice it. This is what you're looking for. Otherwise, you should expect to take at least a single hug from him, maybe even 2. If you're not comfortable with fighting Tinker on 3 full health, then go ahead and grab some wall chicken, but otherwise, he should die relatively easily using this technique. And you don't want to launch more souls than what I've shown in this kill, and the reason being, you're going to need most of them for the phase 2 of the encounter. So if you entered the fight with 3 full bars of darkness, in this shot you're looking at me with 4 full bars of darkness, but I only have a bar and a half missing at the end of the fight, and that's what's important. You want to be able to fire 3 shots. So let's look at phase 1 again in real time. Jump, 2 souls, slash, jump, 2 souls, slash, bounce, 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 and adjust with another soul shot if you need to. You really don't want to fire any more than that though. Now when phase 2 begins, Tinker should be on the right side, and this is to set up this particular intro. You can go left and pick up the food if you need to. You really shouldn't be taking that much damage for this fight anyway. I like to run back up to Tinker, hit him twice on the ground, do a full jump, and then you should get 5 full dash attacks on him as he's rising and refilling his health. After the 5th attack, you'll notice that you have already done a heart and a half of damage to him. At this point, your positioning and when you toss the soul is important, because from that last hit, you want to toss this soul at the highest point of your jump when you can. This is so that the soul actually bounces off of his drill and shoulder as you do dash attacks on him. This means that instead of only getting 2 hits from this soul, you'll actually get 3 hits off of it. Once as it passes through him the first time, once more as it bounces off of his shoulder, and then a 3rd time after you've forced him back to the right side. The angle actually lines up that it'll pass through him while he's traveling to the right side. From here, you're going to jump and drop 2 souls on him as you're falling. You'll also be doing a dash attack on this same jump, so you'll drop 2 souls, and then as you're falling a little bit lower, you'll do a dash attack which will immediately force him back to the left side. Now from here, you'll drop another soul on the way down, and then do a dash attack again to stay airborne. This is where a little RNG will come into place, because you've seen that the souls on the right are actually bouncing around between some of the newly forming terrain. That terrain is entirely random throughout the fight. If you do get lucky, then all of your souls will actually come back, and you'll basically only have to drop 2 souls and do a dash attack. So I missed out on 1 hit on this kill. But as you're finishing him off, you'll drop 2 more souls. You're barely going to have the mana for these 2 souls, and then you'll do as many dash attacks as you need to finish the job. If you are under luckier circumstances, then you'll actually kill him without having to bounce more than once more. So again, here's your phase 2 full speed. Get your food. 1, 2, jump. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Soul at the top. 2 more souls, dash attack, soul, dash attack, this will bounce him to the right, and then you're done. So that about wraps it up for the Clockwork Tower. Next we're going to head over to, next we're going to head over to Pridemore Keep, but first we're going to pick up this darkness. This is going to be the last upgrade that we'll need for the run. Thank you so much for the help, Missy. We have 2 more knights to recruit for the order, I believe. That sounds about right. We're not gonna take this guy though. So once you've shown Baz the door, finish your chat with Reese and have him send you to Pridemore Keep. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Until then, stay spooky.